Okay. My name is Sitaram Venkat. I lead the go-to-market for enterprise solutions at Dell. I'm based out of Bangalore. When I say enterprise solutions, this comprises of the platform solutions, the compute, storage, and the networking portfolio, as well as virtualization and cloud. That's precisely my role. What I've been told by my organization is you have about 20 minutes, and in that 20 minutes you've got to help organization understand how they can make cloud transformation as they evolve in their IT journey. So I will try and do my best in that short time, which I've not done it before. But the intent here is to share what Dell does and how Dell fits in the scheme of things today to help customers evolve and move to that journey. Now, Arun started off, I think, sharing a great experience of where they were and what kind of benefits that they have seen. And he did mention an important point where he said it's a continuum, it's a journey. I mean, you can't immediately think that you can revolutionize and change everything at one stop, right? It has to be baby steps. So fantastic. So I'll try and build from there and probably throw some insights again. And also help you understand what Dell does and how is Dell helping customers. So that is precisely the objective. So let me begin with this trivia. And I'm sure when we put this trivia within ourselves, this is when that intent of changing or kind of bringing the dynamism within the IT infrastructure starts. Look at these interesting facts. What if I'm able to integrate on-premise application with off-premise? What if I'm able to consume IT as a service on a pay-as-you-go model? What if I have a uniform multi-device experience all across throughout my IT? And what if I'm able to reduce capex, at the same time I'm able to improve utilization, therefore I see a great result of operational efficiency that I can gain? What if my deployment time of IT infrastructure and applications significantly improves? Last but not the least, what if your IT could match to the ever-growing or changing business demands? I'm sure this is one of the key criteria that actually will enforce or help customers unleash the cloud kind of services that's available today in the marketplace. Now, let me relate this. I think this is another question that comes to our mind when we think about cloud. Is it being hyped or is it reality? And the answer is yes. It was part of hype cycle. Lead industry analysts did state that, and they said for a long time it was at the peak of expectations, and it was really known as or really seen to be as a hype. But off late, over the last 18 months, it's becoming a number one strategic technology today if an IT decision owner has to make. And in the expanding portfolio of tools today for the CIO, cloud is at the top. And this is, I'm sure most of you would have heard and will agree with me as well. Now, when you look at making this transformation, what are the business drivers and some of the challenges that you have to consider as you start making progress in this journey? That is extremely critical. So let me share some business drivers and challenges that we have heard and listened from our customers as well. So cost obviously is a big aspect, but we also start looking at compliance. We also look at streamlining business processes. The most important thing that comes into mind is how to improve my users' productivity. And when I say users, mostly the data center users, so that they get the time to actually focus on newer projects instead of running between the silos of islands that you have created in your data center. And at any point of time, information is extremely critical, right? Whether I get a holistic dashboard or reporting of what is currently happening in my data center, a complete 360-degree view of my data center is an extremely critical aspect. I'm sure most of the customers have said, we don't have a view. And we are looking at tools, we are adding tools so that we get a holistic view, and a lot of investments is going on in that area. And that has created a spur in a lot of analytics usage, right, in the industry today. Now, if you look at some of the challenges, obviously, one interesting point that I would like to say is most of the customers started looking cloud as a technology. So when you start looking cloud as a technology, what happens, you will start looking at those players which are available in the industry. There are big, there are small, there are mix of both, etc. So you look at it as a technology that you have to procure, etc. But here is where a small difference is, and that's why I started off with that trivia. Now when you start making that shift within your IT, considering these drivers and challenges, right, you yourself become a service provider. Your IT, which was static earlier, has become dynamic, and you yourself become a cloud provider to your user. Now forget about the other cloud providers or hosting providers which exist in the industry. Yes, whenever there is an opportunity, you would want to leverage those technologies because there is competition. You want to become more efficient. You want to unleash your current situation or unlock the current situation in your data center. But remember, when you do that, you yourself become an IT provider. So cloud is what? Providing IT as a service, right? So let's talk a little more, and let me kind of unshackle some of the myths that today most of us hear. These are some of the common myths that we hear when we talk of cloud transformation. There's no single cloud. All you need to have is have a credit card. Cloud reduces your workload. You can essentially blend your cloud. You can also look at integrating them seamlessly. This is what generally there is a myth, but it's not a reality. You won't ever be able to integrate private and public cloud. Cloud always saves you money. Cloud provider can guarantee security. If you're using virtual machines, you are doing cloud computing. Last but not the least, it's about technology. So it's by and large seen as a technology, and that's where I think there is a limitation or there is a stop. And we've seen some of the organizations not being able to take that baby steps or not being able to unlock themselves. Now, before I share a little more details, I thought I'll take this opportunity to just understand, and I will request you to just raise your hands on how many of you have already started implementing cloud services within your IT. If I may request you to raise your hands, please. Okay, I see a few hands being raised up. So pardon me if I'm sharing something which is already well known to you. The intent is also share what Dell is doing, and if Dell could help being part of this journey with you. So the brief taxonomy, cloud taxonomy that comes into consideration is this. IT is delivered as a service to your users, so therefore it becomes a self-service, right? A kind of workflow which you can leverage within your processes, and a high degree of automation obviously helps you do that. And your users within your IT, within your organization, are able to leverage the resources on demand, right? And what if you're looking at pooling all these resources, and these resources move from one to another seamlessly, right? Thereby increasing reliability and availability, etc. Right? So these are some of the common characteristics, that essential characteristics that actually take IT services into that cloud taxonomy. Now, basis this comes various offerings which are available in the industry today, which all of us know, right? Some of them are infrastructure, platform, testing, security. So we'll talk through a little more in detail of all of these. And then comes the deployment models: public, private, hybrid, and community. These are the commonly available deployment models in the industry that most of the organizations are leveraging today, right? So again, let me throw a little more insights of what different types of clouds are available. I hope this will benefit our understanding a little more deeper. To the left of your chart, you see that this is a traditional as-is data center. There is absolutely no cloud. All the infrastructure, the virtualization, databases, security, runtimes, application, everything is under the control of the customer within his premise. Absolute no cloud, right? And look at the second where you see you transition into a cloud journey. Now, what that essentially means when we hear infrastructure as a service, you are abstracting the infrastructure, you are abstracting virtualization, etc., but still control database, security, applications within you. That becomes infrastructure as a service. There are two models. You can leverage that as a private cloud, you can leverage that as a public cloud as well, and there are different providers and options in the industry today, and Dell is one among them. The third part, platform as a service. Now when you start abstracting everything, leaving alone the application, right? Application is still managed by the customer, but you've abstracted the entire, the rest of the gamut to improve service levels for scalability, etc. It becomes platform as a service. Last but not the least, the entire thing is not owned by the customer. It's software as a service. I hope this definition made sense in terms of understanding the deployment models and how it is being delivered today in the industry, and what is the responsibility of the customer and what is not the responsibility of the user or the customer. Now, if you see that adoption today, it is tremendously increasing, right? Traditional data centers are getting commoditized thanks to the biggest catalyst, virtualization, which has started influencing that commoditization, and it has forced customers to already look at virtualization significantly, and it has taken it to the second level. But then the journey has to move beyond that, right? And when you want to bring in that agility, the self-provisioning, etc., then you would want to leverage the cloud models. So you will see private and public cloud as a big offshoot thereafter. Now it is important to understand how do I make this journey, look at those application characteristics which can seamlessly integrate in these type of service offering. So what you see there is some of the CRM, collaboration, HR applications. I'm sure you hear this on a daily basis that you can leverage out of public cloud. But the infrastructure that you want to leverage along with that, it is more than often private. And the blue curve there clearly shows that it's just peaking. So it depends on the organization to the organization, understand where they are, and they can then start moving this, making that baby steps that Arun did mention. And that's where Dell comes into picture. Our consultancy services comes into picture, where we help customers understand, studying the application characteristics and your business processes, that which are good candidates for what type of cloud models, and then help customer transition from the journey that they have reached here to the next two steps that you would want to leverage as you evolve and make the transformation. That's the role we play there as being a consultancy provider there. So whichever way you define it, we believe that it is all about making IT more efficient and responsive to the business. And it is not a technology, right? So the situation today, when we look at, is most of the organizations have said, you know, my goal is to move from this to this. And I'm not going to talk that numbers because we've heard that many a times, right? And in order to do that, we at Dell believe 3 steps could actually help you move or embrace your journey much faster. And those 3 steps are standardize, simplify, and automate. And Dell we have done it ourselves within our IT, and we can confidently say that if a customer makes this journey step by step, at each step there are guarantee benefits that you can see. When you do standardization, looking at leveraging or improving your deployment time, looking at improving your utilization levels, you are seeing difference, and you go and leverage various technology and tools that are available. And when you make a next step to simplify your processes, etc., and free up the IT time that the users or IT users or the IT admins are today spending within your data center, that's a significant saving. And if you do a lot of automation and allow end users to deploy their workloads on demand whenever they want, depending on the changing business needs, you're freeing up a lot of time, and you're creating a kind of governance to ensure that the right user gets the right information, etc. And all these steps have its own benefit, and we can tell you that no matter a customer will complete his journey of taking all these steps, still will see the benefit. And as you move forward from, let's say, 2080 to 3070 to and go so on and so forth, and reach, let's say, 4060, you still see benefits. No matter you reach the end point, right? Never have the objective of reaching the end point within a certain time. It's a journey, and the benefits are clearly visible and seen. So where to begin is the biggest question. So whether building a private or a public cloud, we have a comprehensive end-to-end offerings, and these are some capabilities that we have developed over a period of last 24 months that have enabled Dell to actually proactively go to customers and kind of study their business processes and help them to transform and evolve. And that's why I said it's about making that transformation. The way we approach is, we call it WADI, with a workshop, assessment, and subsequently bring in design consideration before we move into implementation or deployment. So to complete the journey, it is important for your consultancy provider or Dell, or if you yourself are a cloud provider or a service provider in your organization, it is absolutely essential to clearly understand the business model, the product, the underlying technology, application characteristics, operations, integration points becomes extremely critical. And then you can therefore develop a clear strategy and a roadmap on how you want to move, at what point of time, and what kind of SLAs I have to factor in, so that your other users within the organization are ready to go with the SLAs, and what are the gaps within the technology, because there are a lot of interdependencies today when you look at applications, right? It is extremely critical to understand them and then move this journey for success. These are some tenets of cloud success we've more than heard commonly in the industry today. It's not about standard or standardization or kind of open architectures, right? It's ability to help customers even to leverage technology neutral architecture. A closed architecture will lock itself. I mean, you don't get that flexibility or you won't get that scalability, and therefore it is essential to make that consideration. It is important to reuse most of your existing investments, right? And a huge amount of service orientedness has to come into picture, and therefore create a high degree of automation and allow customers to create an elastic model so that you're able to see that your IT is able to meet the changing business demands, etc. That is extremely important to cloud success. So the way we approach this cloud taxonomy is both with a top-down and a bottoms-up approach. But we've seen most of the other industry players typically taking a bottoms-up approach. So bottoms-up approach is good when you move your journey to cloud. Studying infrastructure, optimizing that, improving efficiency levels, looking at hyperscaling, etc. is good. But at the same time, it is important to first understand the application characteristics, the integration point, the interdependencies, right? And if you do both, when you do both together, it is easy to identify which application can go in what kind of cloud offering, or what are the essential integration points, what are the solutions to those integration points, what kind of tools or technologies are available in the marketplace. All that comes into picture. So when you combine this together, it becomes a much more comprehensive methodology in terms of allowing customers to seamlessly move to leverage cloud computing services. So I spoke about the integration points. What we see and believe is there are several businesses today has several multiple applications. What if you remove one application, physical application, and move it to the cloud, right? Reliability, SLAs, availability, all this comes into picture. I think there was a question on cluster. So all this comes into picture, availability, etc. So it is extremely important to understand those integration points at each of these cloud methodologies that you would want to deploy, and make sure that you have a clear tool or clear technology provider who can help you give that integration point so that you are able to move much more seamlessly. Sorry, can you close that, please? Yeah, thanks. I think this is a question that you kind of tend to ask yourself. So which are those applications? I've understood about integration points, I've understood about SLAs, I've understood about key essential considerations, etc. But what are the common thumb rule, or is there a thumb rule that I can apply and say that, okay, these applications will run like this, and this can run like this, and this is another way of running it? We at Dell believe there are three ways. So we categorize them into complex, customized, and commoditized applications. Yes, the ERP and the other mission critical applications will stay in the traditional data center the way you have deployed it. It may or may not change in the future. It depends on the provider of that application. But there are other applications which are already evolved, right? It has matured. The technology has already matured and it is available. So it is for us to leverage that maturity which is already there, all the building blocks that are there, and see how we can gain benefits. Now look at mail, analytics, web, software, test and development software. All of this can be leveraged over public cloud, and I'm sure some of you who raised these hands have been doing this or are considering to do this. And there are other applications like HR, payroll, financial information, etc. that you can leverage out of private clouds, where still the data is secure under your control, right? And you can still manage the rest of the ERP and other complex business application within your traditional data centers. These are different methodologies or kind of a example on how to start this journey and how to leverage this. So as a result of this, the entire processes, business processes and IT processes can be delivered as a service. And I said that your own data center or you as an IT itself becomes a service provider when you get into the cloud journey to your users within your organization. So you can allow your users to leverage all of these aspects at various points. Storage as a service, testing as a service, information as a service, process as a service, security as a service, etc., and management as a service, right? So storage as a service, get a pool of storage resources which is available on a demand, but your application should be able to leverage or should be able to see those resources, extremely important. And that's where players like Dell come into picture in terms of ensuring that those integration points are seamlessly mitigated, etc. And then when it comes to database as a service, we all know that databases can be fragmented today and multiple applications can see these databases at any point of time. So we've seen customers leveraging most of these models as they evolve. Last but not the least, testing as a service. When you start leveraging test and development environments as a service model instead of building your own, you see a significant gain in terms of investments on the infrastructure that typically you keep making whenever you want a test and dev environment to go up, right? It's a significant way of saving. Again, when you do database as a service, you will start saving license costs that typically we spend on the database as well, right? So what are the building blocks that Dell has today? I thought it's an opportunity for me to also correlate and tell you that some of these building blocks have helped Dell to provide that solution. So we're not only a consulting player, we can be a neutral consulting provider and help you understand what can move, what technologies are available, where you want to do it, what is your choice. We can also tell you what we have in our armory and try and help you leverage both of them as well. It's a kind of a sales pitch that I'm doing, but it's important if we've not seen or heard about Dell having these capabilities. So I thought let me take 2 minutes on this and share. Boomi acquisition gave us that integration of on-premise to off-premise application, and Boomi has been a world leader in that capability. So have your legacy application within, but if you want to integrate some of the application which is outside, that's where this integration orchestrator engine comes in Boomi. VIS, a private cloud software solution that Dell has today, and as I speak to most of the customers, I do talk and hear about that in detail. It's about resource provisioning, workload mobility, in terms of allowing users to leverage self-service, portal-based kind of workloads, etc. So that is a complete comprehensive VIS solution. We also make cloud-optimized, pre-engineered stacks as well on the infrastructure side. We have cloud-enabled servers, we have cloud-optimized storage. Force10 was a recent acquisition which again powers large cloud builders today in terms of networking, data center bandwidth, etc. The Joint and Crowbar again is a huge commitment from Dell on platform as a service. Crowbar and Cloud OpenStack, I'm sure, hit the headlines. We were the first to do that today. Crowbar is an orchestrator that we have developed to the open source community that even most of the customers would want to leverage open source capability. Dell has built those tools. So we provide not only the cloud infrastructure to most of the cloud users, we also partner with some of the cloud players in the industries like Microsoft, VMware, and Rackspace, etc. So combining these two learnings, and after having listened and heard from our customers, we are able to kind of bring in those technology offerings in the way our customer wants and able to provide that in a modular fashion instead of force-fitting everything into one. That's a typical approach when cloud service is being provided. It's like saying that I'm coming with a menu card of an offering and you take that and it's going to change. I don't think so. That works many a times. Organizations, businesses are different, and the way they want to leverage this technology is also different. So it is important to understand those integration points and then help customers make that baby step, and each step help customer realize the benefits of that TCO ROI. And then once you see that it is satisfied and your users are able to get that improved performance levels of SLAs, you further enhance your journey and move forward. And Dell has been doing that, and we're bringing these learnings. Our intent in the new kind of connected age is to be a driving force and help our customers make that big shift of cloud transformation. Our intent every day is to see how we have helped the IT data centers to itself transform as a kind of a service provider to their own organization. So we're neutral. We do bring in our own capabilities as well, but we help customers to also leverage through our consulting service offerings the other technologies which are available as well. Let's see. That's all from my side. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions, feel free to write to me as well. But do we have time for taking questions now? Sorry. So I'm going to be available here and look forward meeting with you and learn and we help you clarify some of the insights that I was not able to share here. Thanks a lot for a patient listening. Thanks once again.